Kaileb Hyland, welcome to the Lui Diaz Podcast.
All good, man. Thanks for having me.
I've got to come clean with the audience. I'm so disorganized today. I'm like, does this guy think I'm some kind of rookie, first-time podcast? I've never done this before, by the way. This is my first podcast.
Well, this is my second, but we can take each other's virginity because I've never done it in an alleyway before. So,
yeah,
it's kind of dirty, kind of nice, bit different, but just be gentle.
Virginity, gentle, dirty. All of the connotations right there.
Yeah. There's some recycling bins right next to us, some wafts of cigarette smoke.
Yeah, we're in Hosier Lane for everyone that is now potentially getting used to me recording outdoors. So you're going to hear the sounds of ghetto blasters.
Yeah.
You're going to hear people walking past. You're going to hear us talking, hopefully, amongst all that. And we're here to get to know a little bit more about your story, get to know a little bit more about the things that are interesting to you, and try and add some value to our audience with, maybe talking about some serious, deep and meaningful stuff as well as having some lols.
Yeah, man. Getting into the thick of it, having some fun.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself to get everyone started?
So I'm from Frankston.
Where the hell is Frankston? It's just for the international audience.
Yeah. So it's about 40 minutes drive south of Melbourne, and it's probably almost the start of the Mornington Peninsula.
And what's Frankston famous for? If I was like a first time, venture out at Frankston, what would Frankston be famous for?
So it's pretty ghetto.
Really?
Yeah, there's a bit of crime there. It's a bit rough around the edges. There's a lot of eshays. There's a lot of lovely people there, lovely businesses. I work in Frankston. I love it. But, it's a bit different. The most famous thing from Frankston, I'd say, would be the 11 or 12-year-old kid punching a guy on the train saying, "I own Frankston." And he punched an adult. Yeah, little Timmy, this little eshay. So he went viral a couple of years ago for doing that. I think he's in juvie now because he stole a car. That's the last I heard of him. But yeah.
What? Some kid just randomly punched some adult in the head?
Yeah, on a train, and someone was recording it, and he's like, "Oh, I own Frankston," and then just punched this fully grown man.
What?
He was 12.
Hell?
Had the longest, I think, rat tail or mullet I've ever seen.
That is rough.
Yeah.
That is so rough.
So yeah, that's
is this common knowledge or?
Yeah, everyone knows about him. Everyone's seen him around.
Yeah.
Everyone from Frankston knows.
Right. Okay.
But it's they've got the Pines, which is pretty rough, and then
what's the Pines?
That's North Frankston. And then I live in the south of Frankston, which is nice, which borders onto Mount Martha. It's next to the beach.
Oh, so you live in the nice area.
Yeah,
south.
So there's quite a few different things. There's a goat near my house.
Goat?
Someone's got a goat in his backyard, and there's steps that go down to the beach. And his name's Victor the Goat. He's got an Instagram page. Check it out. Shout out Victor the Goat.
Shout out to Victor the Goat.
Yeah, people come by and they have their old veggies or something that they might not be using, and they'll just on their walk, they'll just feed him some old carrots or cabbages and stuff. And yeah, people go out of their way. He is a bit violent, so he's tried to headbutt a few of my mates and stuff because there's a hole in the fence. So people try and stick their hand in and pat him, and yeah, so just be wary. He's cool, but yeah, and a lot of people the other comedians, because they do 4 to 6 gigs a week, and they'll go "Oh, why don't you move up to Melbourne?" Blah blah blah.
We haven't touched on the fact that you're a comedian yet.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad.
Take us back to Victor.
Yeah. So, I love Frankston because there's a lot of different characters there, and it's got personality. I like that. There's always something different, something going on. There's the Frankston unicycler. So there's this guy who does cross-country unicycling, and I'll be going for a run on the foreshore, and I'll have my soundproof headphones on. And normally I can't hear anything unless it's a really loud plane or helicopter going above. And I just heard on the boardwalk this whoop and this heavy panting behind me. And I turned around, and it's this guy on a unicycle with no top on and just shorts, just AirPods on, just riding his unicycle on a phone to a mate, just "Oh yeah, I'll come over to Daz's house in a couple of hours. I'll meet you there." And I've seen him ride through intersections on the road, just you could almost see him in Lycra. He doesn't even wear a helmet. I love sport and stuff. I'm not by far the fittest bloke. If I tried to do that, I'd probably pedal twice, fall over, and these blokes doing business calls, just riding around, just there's someone, they posted a photo. He went to the bottle shop and got a slab of beer over his shoulder, and he's riding home on his fucking unicycle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I probably shouldn't have sworn there, but he's an absolute legend. I don't know how he does it, but yeah.
Yeah, honestly, we'll touch on community and like, you know, the joy of community a little more, because I think that's kind of what you're touching on. You're touching on like, you know, my community's rough and it is notorious and there are some dubious characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's rich in character.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that you have that perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, during your intro, you started off talking about Frankston. We moved over to Victor the Goat and Timmy, the violent young 12-year-old.
The Eshe.
The Eshe, as you call him. But then you introduced kind of the fact that you're a comedian and you do a few gigs a week. And tell us more about that side of it, like not the Frankston side.
Yeah.
You know, tell us more about Kaileb.
So I'm an aspiring comedian. I've only been doing it for like a year and a bit.
When
so
you say aspiring, are you already doing comedy?
I am doing it, but...
What are you aspiring to be then, if you're already doing it?
A professional comedian that can live off.
Okay.
That's the goal. That's the end goal.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So... I
ask very basic questions sometimes.
Yeah. That's all right. So, yeah, I do gigs all over Melbourne, sometimes in Frankston, sometimes on the west out Geelong, Footscray.
Yeah.
And in the north, Preston. Done a few regional gigs here or there. But, yeah, it's all good fun. I love it. It's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life. Because I remember the first time I went, you've got to find that passion and what you want to do. And you've got to have that drive to do it. Because I remember the first time I went, me and my mate, signed up to this open mic in St Kilda on a Friday night, and we sat in the front row, which we didn't know because we weren't in the scene. We didn't know the rules. I'd been to one or two comedy shows, I think. I'd seen Arch Barker and Russell Howard. But that's in big theatres. And I hadn't been to any little things, and I've watched a shitload online. Me and my mate, we both sat right in the front row. And the guy that was on, he had an off night, and he wasn't doing well. And we laughed at an inappropriate joke because it was more just like how inappropriate and just ridiculous the whole premise was. And we were just like, what have we just witnessed? And the guy turns around and looks at us and he's like, really? You laugh at that, but nothing else. What kind of... And then he was the guy running the whole gig, and then I freaked out and chickened out. And then I didn't come back until like another 3 months later because it just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was raw.
Yeah. And I learned, don't sit in the front row if you're a comedian as well.
Yeah, right.
And because you're more worried about your set and how it's going to go, and rather than what other people are doing, and you're not paying attention to laugh. So you're just thinking, going like, what are my lines? What's the punchline? Blah, blah, blah. Where are the beats? How do I say? And freaking out about that rather than laughing at other people's material.
Yep. What a cool experience, though. And so when did you decide that you wanted to get into?
I decided a long time ago, and I kind of wrote a fair amount of material, which I thought was excellent. Turns out most of it was rubbish.
Right.
But I'd been writing for quite a while, and I mistakenly had some friendships in life with people that maybe weren't so good for me, and I brought it up to them, and then it was an idiot, and said, hey, I want to do this. What do you think? Seeking the validation from other people. And sorry, we're just getting some people taking some photos of us. Yeah. And they shot me down. And they said, no, you couldn't do that.
You could? What?
Yeah, you're not funny enough to do that. Oh, people wouldn't see you. Fuck. And then just really brought me down, really affected my self-confidence and my, not like self-worth, but that dream. Because it's, just give it a go. That's all you have to do. Just give it a crack. Whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's graffiti, doing a podcast, or just give it a crack. You might not be the greatest in the world, but you've at least give it a go, and you can say you've given it a go. Yeah. And you'll get better. So and ever since that first gig, I did really well. I think they peppered me up a bit because there's the first gig thing. So if you give the MC a heads up, they'll say, oh, this guy's new or it's his first time. The audience will be a lot nicer to you.
Really?
Yeah. So, which is good because you want it to be as nice as you want it to be. But it did pretty well. Yeah. Had a bit about George Pell, which did well. But
George what?
George Pell, the priest that got convicted of, and then I think it was overturned. Cardinal Pell. Yeah. So I had a bit about that.
You did a bit about the Catholic priest that was convicted?
Yeah. I think it became overturned in the end, and then what usually happens, and I think he went over to the Vatican or something. Yeah.
Got out of the local jurisdiction.
Yeah, which is what usually happens to most of them. Yeah, and that went well.
What was your bit about the Catholic priest? Do you remember it?
I do remember it. I might not want to say it here because I remember you were saying on with the podcast that you did with my friend Sean.
Yeah.
Some of your listeners have kids in the car, but the whole premise was because the reason he died was he died from a hip replacement. And I was saying,
Did he die?
Yeah. So he passed away, and he passed away having surgery on his hip because he needed a hip replacement, and he didn't do well in surgery, and then inevitably passed away. And the whole thing was, why did he need the hip replacement? And if he was in heaven or hell.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm just finally getting up to speed. Yes, audience, if you're listening in now and you were already on that page and you knew what was coming, well, yeah, good for you. But I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know where this was going. I've been sitting here innocently thinking, this is a story about a hip replacement gone wrong. And then the connections happened.
Because the only other people that I'd know have needed hip replacements are like athletes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the lines is like, he would have been like Gary Ablett Sr. or something.
Yeah. Well, but like lots of hip replacements at age, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it a common thing for older people to have a hip replacement? It is. Oh, now I'm starting to think dirty things about them. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn. So decided that you wanted to try comedy. You told a bunch of, at the time, close friends about it. They shot you down. It affected your self-confidence a little bit. That you also kind of, at the same time, realised, hey, these probably aren't very good friends. So I should get rid of them.
Yeah. So I moved on. I moved away because I actually lived in the Mornington Peninsula at that point in time. And then I moved to Frankston, which is good because it was closer to the city. There's a bit more going on down there. And is in the Mornington Peninsula, there's not much. It's like kind of like almost a regional town. There's just shitloads of cafes, a couple bars, and not much for young people to do. Like a lot of them, it's either you're into surfing and stuff or there's not much going out. I like being out where it's happening, there's shit going on. Yeah. You can go check out bands or other stuff like that and go to different pubs or nightclubs or whatever. So there's much more going on up this way. So that's why I love doing stand-up because you meet so many people, different areas. You could be in South Melbourne, there's a different vibe down there, or you can be up in Brunswick, Collingwood, different vibes up there, or somewhere in Frankston, Bendigo, all different places.
Yeah, it sounds like you appreciate human interaction.
Definitely. Yeah, because during the lockdowns and stuff like that and after it, I kind of got into a bad mental health spell.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I think during the lockdowns... I don't think you're
alone there, by the way.
Yeah. There's a lot of people and almost like kind of developed like an agoraphobia. Like almost was...
What's that?
That's where it's a fear of going outside or leaving the house. Right. And like after the lockdown and going out back into public... because I think of the media and what was going on and the government. It was quite a scary time what they were telling us about the flu sickness that was going around. Yeah. They were instilling fear into everyone. And then for 2 years, it was told you're around people, you're in danger. Yeah. And it took a bit to go back into society and then go back in and doing it. And it took me a while to go back and start seeing friends and things and putting myself out there. And I was working a dead-end job, and it really scared the shit out of me because there was people that had worked there for 20 years doing the same thing, and they had real negative connotations and outlooks on life. Yeah. And it was like, just do this job, you'll get a house, and you'll do this for the rest of your life. I'm like, I don't want to do that, man. I want to see the world. I want to do stuff where I can be creative, have a creative outlook. I want to build and do stuff, not sitting there to some guy who's going through stuff in his own life and taking it out of me and the other staff members, and then just having to sit there and go, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Yeah. And just be a mindless. Which, if that's your life, go for it. But, yeah, it's definitely not for me. And I ended up quitting and kind of just working in a bottle shop for... for a bit, and then just kicking back, just trying to figure out what I was doing. And that's when I started writing comedy and stuff, and it took a little bit for me to come out and deal with the anxiety and the mental health and depression kind of that built up over years. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that really helped me is, have you seen the guys Inspired Unemployed?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Their videos
I am
are
fans
great.
of those guys.
Yeah, they're really good.
I do like them.
They have these competitions where they've done a couple where it's like they're giving away a car or giving away cash, and it's like you just got to do the most outlandish, crazy video, and then whoever it is wins it. So there was one where you had to do a slut drop with a can of Better Beer in your hand.
What the hell is a slut drop?
It's a dance move where you just go down and then you stick your ass out. So you do a squat and then,
like a twerk kind of thing. Almost.
Not you twerking. You just go down and then you go out. So it's the whole point. You do it in front of a guy at the club that you like, and then you go up and then push your booty out on him.
Ooh, damn, that's never happened to me before, by the way.
Yeah, neither. but I can do it quite well. So there was...
Oh, can you now?
Yeah, there's video proof on the internet. So what I started...
I was going to say, could you do it for us? But then I was like, nah, prob's not.
Nah.
Just not, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a great component for the listeners.
Yeah.
So I did one of their challenges, and I got my mates to record it, and then we recorded all like in different places in Frankston, and then worked our way up to here in the city.
Yep.
And I just did it in my jocks because I thought it'd be funny and just out there. And then I don't know what it was. It kind of broke something through with me in my mind, because we have all these weird, like, unwritten rules of how we're supposed to act socially and behave. And then we're meant to be cohesion in the pack. You don't yell, you don't do certain things, or you're meant to dress a certain way. And it opened my mind, because I was seeing people just freak out around me and just go... And then I did it, and then I quickly put my clothes back on, and I was like, oh, nothing happened. No one thought I was a weirdo. Yeah, no one died. Nothing happened. And people forgot about it. People had a laugh as well. Some people laughed at me.
Okay.
And then I posted it online, and I had good reception. And I didn't even make the top 10 of the competition or whatever. Yeah, and I felt really free. And it kind of put me out there, and I was like, oh, I can do this. And the other thing I noticed as well, with telling stories or telling jokes and things to my friends, I would have them at a party, and I would have like 5 or 6 of them just like watching. I'm like, I have these guys in the palm of my hand. So if I can do that to 6 people at an open mic, and then another 6, and then another 6 on top of that, and then just keep it growing. Yeah.
You can just exponentially rise at 6 by 6.
Yeah.
You know.
There's been ones where there's been less than that.
You've got your 6 times tables down pat, I hope.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm on to 18 at the moment. So
so you realise, hey, this wasn't as bad as what maybe the internal monologue was telling me it was going to be, because of all society's expectations. It ended up having, if anything, if you had to delineate between positive and negative effect in society, it had a positive effect, because you made people laugh.
Yeah.
And I think the correlation for you is like coming out of the pandemic, where people were so, frightened, for lack of better words, that you felt like society needed a bit more laughter.
Yeah, just to let go. And what comedy is just tension and release. So we had all the tension there, and then I felt like I was a bit of the release.
Tension, yeah. You need to be able to develop that tension yourself as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And since doing stand-up and doing these gigs, I have noticed I've been in other situations that I've been in before, and I'm so much more calmer and level-headed and able to deal with it, because I might have been quite anxious and uptight about it. And it's just helped me be cool, calm, and collected.
So comedy's been a part of your personal journey as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's helped my mental health a lot, and be able to get out, meet different people from different backgrounds. Yeah. So it's been, like I said, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's challenged me. It's helped me get new jobs and awesome stuff like that. So yeah, I absolutely love it. And that's why I like I've had bombs. It happens. It's inevitable. But sometimes...
A bomb is a term for a show that doesn't go very well?
Yeah, it's when your jokes don't land. Because it almost feels like you're skipping on stones in the sky, like doing hopscotch. Yeah. And then you're waiting for the rhythm, and then if there's no laughter, it just feels like you fall through the sky. Yeah. It's the only way I can describe it. Yeah. You're just free falling till you can catch yourself again.
Damn. That would be fucking frightening.
Yeah.
So you were describing the feeling of bombing as free falling.
Yeah.
It's like a sinking feeling in your gut that just sort of...
Yeah. And I've had to learn to like get better at dealing with it. And because normally I'm quite quick-witted and you can save the joke, but sometimes you'll think, oh, that was a good performance, but you've got to let the joke bomb so then you can go back to the lab and keep working on it, and then go, oh, here, we'll work on that, or we'll shelve it for a bit and then come back.
Yes.
Because you've got to learn from...
I like that analogy. I like it. Sorry, it just inspired me for a second when you said, let the joke bomb, because I don't know why my brain just automatically associated with parenthood, right? And I'm a dad, and I had a baby once. Now she's a teenager. But it's like when they're starting to walk and stuff, and you just want to save them. You want to save them, but you know that the best thing for them is to not save them, just to let them fall and pick themselves back up. And that the only way that they're going to get better at walking is to let them fall and fail.
Yeah, definitely.
And the only way the joke's going to improve is if you don't try and rescue it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it as well, because like I've made some really good friends through doing this and seeing them at gigs through weeks and weeks and weeks, and they'll have a joke that they're working on and it just doesn't land, and you see how they've tweaked it.
Yeah.
And then it almost feels like you're on a sports team or something, and you've finally, like, you got a goal, because you'll see it finally land and the joke crushes, and you're like, I've gotten up and like jumped and you're like, yeah, like he's finally done it. Just being in that support, just seeing like one of your brothers up there succeeding, and you're like, fuck yes, dude. Like it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just that euphoric feeling. And when it finally does work, or you're in an awesome room and environment, because there's different temperaments that can add and help to it. There's some rooms where like the best place for comedy is somewhere in a low room in the dark, and you get hit with these, like, it feels like you can see a giant tidal wave of laughter.
Yeah.
Just crashing on top of you. And like it's weird, because like this whole...
That must be so like exhilarating.
Yeah, it is. Like I often sometimes will walk off stage shaking just with adrenaline, and just how
really
fucking awesome it feels.
Oh, whoa.
And I've done gigs before where like my ears have been hurting, like from how loud
really
it was. Yeah, and it was this little it was awesome. The best gig to this day I've done in Mornington, and it was this little gig this guy organised, but there was heaps of people in there in this tiny little bar, 50 people, that had Muso on before. And I had been told from other comedians where they were saying like they've done gigs where it's been music, poetry and comedy open mic, but when it goes from like music to comedy, the audience isn't in the mindset for comedy, because it's a bit of a mixed thing and they don't know how to react. And I was just sitting there going, I'm going to bomb, I'm going to bomb, I'm going to bomb, I'm going to suck. And I was meant to do 15 minutes, and I got out there, and because I had that nervous energy, I just went, all right, I'm just going to fucking just come at this room at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I did, and I absolutely crushed it. And it was just, and that's where it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that nervousness and kind of almost freaking out that I was going to fail just brought that out of me, going like, no, I'm not going to let it happen. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me for the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like the potential to fail is not necessarily a fear, but something that you work with. Like you might call it the fear of failure, but then suddenly it doesn't become a fear that paralyzes you. It sounds like it's a fear that propels you almost in a way. Does that make sense?
Because I find I'm quite...
Like a healthy fear.
Yeah, sometimes. Because I find sometimes I am quite competitive, and I'll be honest, I've been a bad, sore loser. I'm not a sore loser on stage, but I am quite competitive. And
I've a Twister or something.
No, sports, like playing sports, if it's video games, board games, you know how some people have that inside of them? Yeah.
I'm competitive. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Am I a sore loser? I've lost a lot in life.
Yeah. But I've bombed on stage, and it almost feels like a Joker moment, or a bit psychotic, where I'm laughing off stage, because I just know in my head going like, all right, I'm going to get him next time, or the next one, or I'll change that and I'll get him, just because I love that, just the failing and sitting in it and then going like, okay, let's go now. Yeah,
I was talking to Sean Collier, you and I were talking about before, and you've listened to that episode with Sean. And
yeah, it was great, by the way, as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. And Sean's such a funny guy and a comedian, but he was talking about like the love of, how raw comedy can be sometimes, and like almost an addiction to that feeling of wanting to turn around a room, like the challenge of it.
Yeah.
It's obviously something that's synonymous with comedy. It's like, if you've got what it takes to be a good comedian, you have to have that desire to want to feel the full spectrum, whether it's failure or success, or be able to turn a bad situation into a good one. The challenge of it, not just the laughs, but like the raw challenge of it sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Maybe I should have got more sleep last night.
I understand what you mean. Because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to, because there is comedy in tragedy, and that's what we do. We make awkward situations funny, and sometimes it's just about learning how to do that and what to do with it.
Learning how to make it awkward.
Yeah, and funny. Yeah.
Jeez, I'm halfway to being a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm already halfway there.
Yeah,
I've got awkwardness down pat.
It is great fun, but yeah, and it's the drive, because it's so rewarding, and that's why I like it because I am quite impatient with a lot of other things with hobbies, and there's other things that I've done that I'm not quite good at. So I love playing basketball. I've played basketball since I was 6, but I'm not the greatest at it. I'm quite average. I can shoot a decent 3-pointer, but
Really?
I can't.
Damn.
I'm not like...
Bit of an athlete here.
Yeah. My nickname on the court is Handles. Love Handles.
Uh-huh.
So, that's what they call me on the court. But, I could never exceed and do well, like amazing at it. And I play guitar and I've tried drawing, and they're kind of things that I was good at as a kid, like being quite arty. But I love metal. I could never quite get to that shredding because I didn't have the patience. Right. That's why I like this, because it's almost like a shortcut to the creative output. So you just think of a couple ideas, work on some jokes and have some punchlines or something, or an idea. You can go up on stage and the crowd literally tells you straight away, goes, this is good, that sucks. Work on that. Oh, that's fantastic. Then you can just keep building from that.
Yeah. It's like live feedback.
Yeah, and because with a band, they might work on an album for a year and a half until it's mastered, and then it'll come out and people go, oh yeah, that's great, or it sucks, and the band's going, oh, wish we could have had that feedback 18 months ago. Yeah. Or someone will work on a painting for a year, and then it'll come out, and people in the exhibitions or the reviewers, which I think are like being an art reviewer is probably not like a real job. Totally. But they're sitting there and they'll go, yeah, this is great. So we can instantly get it back. And that's why it's so, like, you can work on your material so quickly as well. And we're so blessed here, because I think I heard from Sean, he was talking about the scene in Christchurch and in New Zealand, where they're not as lucky as us here in Melbourne, because there's almost a gig a night, and you can sometimes squeeze in 2, or there's some comedians that do 3 or 4, and they just go bounce around. For sure.
Well, I mean, we are lucky here. We're, we can do a podcast in a laneway. We can, go and do and watch comedy. We can watch live music. One of my recent episodes, the guys were calling it out that the live music scene here is not doing as well as it used to. And for me, like, the arts is a really important part of society, community.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
What strikes me about how you describe Frankston is that you appreciate the characters there that make the community feel diverse. And interesting. And they're not necessarily artists, but you can look at it that way. You can look at it like a performance. You can see a guy riding a unicycle up a main street, taking a business call, as you put it, as something that, it makes you stop and think about the way you experience life. And that's what the arts do really well for us. And so it's good to see people getting out there and doing good, creative, artistic things. But for you, it's like you're overcoming your own mental health barriers in the process of doing this, and evolving as a man, I suppose, in the process of learning how to become a comedian.
Yeah, definitely.
Like overcoming fear.
And because nowadays, like, I get there's a lot of people that are marginalised in society, or they've come from rough backgrounds, or the cards they've been dealt in life may not be the greatest. Yeah. I feel my generation there, because I finished high school in 2016, and, like, I'm not saying I'm anti-woke or anything like that. A lot of my opinions and views are quite left-leaning, but there's some stuff where I sit there and go, I don't know, have we thought about that? Can we discuss it? And I've had people shut me down, say, nah, you can't, you're from this, or they just profile. I'm like, isn't you meant to be against that? But anyway,
it's a snake that eats its own tail.
Yeah,
that way of thinking. Like, they always contradict themselves in some way.
But what these people try and do is, because how you were saying, was it the pod you said no safe spaces?
This is not a safe space. That was a recent episode I released.
So what I've found is there's no growth without adversity.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so you've got to put yourself in challenging situations. You've got to put yourself chatting to different people in different groups. Or for me, for my career, in different rooms, in different environments, trying different things. And that's why doing the stupid videos, they didn't go viral or anything. It wasn't my attempt. It was just to take the piss out of myself and have a bit of fun. And which it did, and it kind of opened my mind and opened my thing. And I just remember afterwards, and because I've done it a couple times, and I've done other ones with just silly dares or whatever, it just feels so freeing that you're like, all of this stuff, it doesn't matter. It's all bullshit. Like, at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want, and the world's not going to end.
Yeah, no, that's a great perspective to get to. I think we should all get there at some point in our lives, and it happens at different stages for different reasons. But yeah, to get to that point where you feel free of these unreal expectations. They don't actually exist. Like, a lot of what we think is in our mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Failure is, a lot of what we can perceive as failure is in our mind.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about inclusion a lot, and we hear that word a lot in society. And we talk about, you hear, you know, it's got to be an inclusive space and stuff like that. But inclusion starts with the self. The person needs to want to be included, and then potentially be open to experiencing adversity in the process of that. That's real inclusion. Like, you can't include someone that doesn't want to experience adversity or can't have the piss taken out of them, and because that's not legitimate inclusion. That's us having to walk around eggshells so that you feel safe all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And that feeling of being safe is appropriate in some situations, like when you're opening up to a counsellor about your deep personal issues, or a psychologist. But when you're out in society, it's not everyone else's responsibility to look out for you. It's your responsibility to open yourself up and potentially succeed at doing something brilliant or making new friends.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why you've got to keep a broad, like, array, let's say genre. Yeah, a broad type of friends from different backgrounds, different races, different views, different sexes, different genders, whatever, different religions, different creeds. Because what I see, and it drives me nuts, a lot of these people, they will, because someone doesn't agree or someone doesn't, blah, 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 like, they'll go, oh, unfollow this person because they don't agree.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, it's been said multiple times, and it's a dying word, and it's just repeated numerous occasions. But the echo chamber, it's just you're only stuck in your bubble and your cycle, and that's all you're going to get, and you're not going to get anything. And with the lack of adversity, when these people do encounter problems and things like that, that's when you see they freak out, they don't know how to approach it with a level head, they overreact, and then they just name call you and don't know how to actually be civil about it. And some of them, like, I try and play both sides and look at it. Like, a lot of them, may have, devil's advocate. They would have quite a lot of adversity. So, say if someone identifies as trans or non-binary or something like that, they would have had a lot of that as well. But it's, you can't just put yourself in a safe spot and then go, no one can touch you, nothing happens, blah blah blah. Life sucks, and it's shit, and it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be happy. And I find it absolutely fascinating how all these people think that they can just silence everyone, and you can only have the same opinion. We're meant to go all in this same direction, but us as Australia, as a country, let alone the rest of the West with America or England, we can barely agree on a two-system party, and then it always falls to the end, or it's almost a hung parliament, or one just clips out. There's no way you're going to get everyone to go in the same direction.
No. I mean, we could go on and on about this stuff, right? But I think at the end of the day, we're only designed to exist in small communities.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, this whole push for globalism is a problem because no one's ever going to agree. People in Micronesia won't agree with the people in Melbourne because we face completely different issues, circumstances, climate, living conditions. You know, you can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to everything. It's an interesting rabbit hole that we could go down. But, you know, for me, the podcast was born from a similar vein as your comedy career. You know, like, I started it before the pandemic, but it was not till after that I really wanted to come back to it with the purpose of wanting to bring people together and find common ground and, you know, talk to anyone about anything and show that, you know, there's good in this world, and there is a lot of good. And the podcast has been a really great experience for me in that regard, that I can sit here with a comedian from Frankston, you know, that, you know, we just connected online and we can hash it out and find common ground with each other. And I think that sets a great example, but also it's one of the great joys in life is to meet strangers and to be able to find common ground and things that you can laugh at together and be able to laugh at each other.
Definitely, because I don't think anyone would see it, but because you weren't recording, but I was laughing at you because you're getting real frustrated with your mic stand because it wasn't working. My
anger management was out of control before we started recording. I think it's these mic stands. I've had enough. They're broken. They're Extreme mic stands. If anyone from the brand Extreme is listening, your mic stands suck.
All right, there goes that sponsorship.
Yeah. This podcast is proudly sponsored by
Not Extreme mic stands.
Yeah. How cool is being in the alleyway? Like, so many people stopping and waving and asking us about what music we're about to perform. And we're massive in Korea. K-pop stars. Yeah. The next BTS.
I think
right
he bought it.
I think he bought it.
I love that.
But I talked about purpose. just there, and you talked about purpose as well. And when we were sort of communicating back and forth, I asked you a few questions, you gave me a few responses, and one of the things that sort of captivates you at the moment is, purpose in life. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about purpose in life for a second, and what you mean by that, and what it means to you?
For quite a while, I was like going through that mental health spiral and not living and I was just working these dead end jobs and didn't have any purpose, and it was just literally just working to live. So I could pay rent, I could eat food. Yeah, that was it, and it was just this cycle just going around like that. And I didn't know what my purpose was. I had ideas for dreams and what I wanted to do and have fun, but I was shut down. And I remember being a kid, and there was a time where my mum became very sick, and we went from 2-income house, and then it became quite tough at home, and things were stressful, and it wasn't easy. And my parents would always go, how's school? How's your homework? How's this? Blah, blah, blah. But all I cared about was going to school and making people laugh. Yeah. Remember on my way home from school, I would think back to myself, did I make someone laugh today?
Yeah, right.
And if I didn't, I would beat myself up about it. And I'll go, all right, tomorrow I am going to make someone laugh. And I remember from watching Robin Williams or funny movies like Jim Carrey.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, he's my favourite.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And so I'd go reenact stuff from them that I'd seen, just copying, and then just make the kids in the schoolyard laugh. And that's what made me feel better. So I could escape the stuff that wasn't going at home and the stress in the house and the bullying in school and other shit that wasn't nice. That's how I could get my escape and make me feel better by making other people laugh and feel good. And I would kind of get that gratification from succeeding in doing so.
Yeah, cool. And so you sort of worked out that for you, a purpose was to make people laugh.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's the only language I can talk in. It's weird. Like, if there's people that are very serious, and like, I'm sure you would have met them in workplaces and things, and you just can't, you don't have the same sense of humor, and you can't, I feel like I almost can't trust you. Because I know if we have a chat and then we're just like at work in the break room or whatever, just breaking balls or just whatever, just taking the piss out of each other or someone or something like that, or just talking about what's going on. If we can't do that, I'm like, I feel like you don't have my back, man. Like, I don't know. It's just, something off about like.
Yeah, it's funny because I talk to people a lot about work and remote work and all of that stuff. And people are like, oh yeah, I don't want to come back into the office. I'm like, no, you don't realize that work isn't all about productivity.
Nah,
a huge part of work is camaraderie.
Yeah, definitely.
And being able to work together with someone that you can work with when the chips are down.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and the chips aren't always going to be down, right? It's like in relationships. Like when you first meet like a girlfriend or whatever, you're in the honeymoon period, seeing each other really regularly, and you're having a lot of fun together, right? But you don't know this person. You won't know them well until you hit a point of adversity with them. Until you reach a point where you two need to work together to overcome something, whether it's an argument or something external where you both have to work as a team to overcome it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where energy is contagious. Wherever you might pick it up. So if things aren't right in your relationship, and then you'll take that into work, and then it's the energy that you put out. It's the law of attraction, really. And that's what I've learned with doing stand-up, where you have to change your perspective or your inner energy. Because if being in a workplace where the mood's down, everyone sucks. And I'm sure everyone's had that person at work where I've worked with people, and you'll go, oh, how's that barbecue you told me you were going to on the weekend? And they go, oh, it was effing shit, man. It was stuck, this happened. This person came in drunk and ruined it. And it's the same story every weekend. Yeah. That's where the energy you put out, and that's why it's always shit and it sucks. And it's where you have to, it's all right to take a step back, which I find, and that's why lockdown I think was good, and a lot of things caught up with people, and everyone had a time to look in the mirror. But you just got to be careful of the energy that you harbour and carry around, and that you put onto other people. And I remember there was a period where I went on, it was such a shit streak. It was like 5 weeks of just bombing non-stop, just sucking on stage. And it's because of the energy I had, and because it kept building up. I felt like I had the yips, like in footy or something, where you just on a cold streak and you can't kick, or in basketball you just
can't shoot.
Yeah, can't shoot. And it's because the energy that you harbour, and it's more anxious and tight you are, you just got to let loose and have fun with it. And that's where you can't let it get into your head and things like that.
I feel like you're giving me dating advice right now.
Yeah, well, it works with everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all, you got to be careful with the energy. And you'll find once you have that positive energy, it's contagious. So with me starting stand-up, I remember just certain people reaching out or just having conversation, and they'll just stop me going, what you're doing is so awesome, man. I could never do that. It's great that you're trying to live your dreams and do your thing, but it's just amazing. And I went from being around these negative people, because I can be quite cynical myself, to attracting and then harboring that energy and finding those like-minded people out there in the world.
Yeah.
And you don't see it. It's almost like just the small stuff, body language or the way you talk. And then you'll find when you are around people that are negative, you'll just go...
That's a great realization to have. Now, I'm going to take this moment to apologize then potentially for my negative energy before, what I was trying to set up, the mic stands. And everything I was trying, none of what I was trying was working. I've already had to repair them, and my repairs have failed.
It's all good, man. To quote the great Fred Durst, it was just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything sucks. Everything's fucked.
I have never heard him described as the great Fred Durst, by the way. For those of you that don't know, he's from the band Limp Bizkit from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 13-year-old having a tantrum in his room because he got grounded anthem. It's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. That's what he sounds like in my mind.
Oh, yeah. He totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, obviously you're in this phase of your life where you're becoming conscious of energy, or people's energy, the energy that you put out, equating to the things that you attract. It's really powerful. It sounds like you're in a really great place. And
yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. And it's even like, I'm quite agnostic, but just putting out in the universe and things like that, where I'm working an awesome job at the moment. And I was working another job. It was pretty cool. Like, the people there were pretty good, but I was the bottom rung. Like, and I'm getting to that point where it's like I'm getting a bit older, so it's like a little bit embarrassing being the guy on the bottom or whatever. And I applied for this job like a year ago, and it didn't work out, didn't hear anything, and you're like, oh, cool, whatever. And then they reached out, and I've been working there, and it's awesome. And it's been a big mood shift, because the other place, like, I didn't care about what it was or what it was. It was like electrical wholesale. I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. But I got hired to manage a tattoo studio in Frankston.
Oh, sick.
And that's awesome. And I'm around creatives every day.
Are you getting free tattoos?
No, not yet. No, I try and support the artists. So you got to support. So it's like they'd want to see my show for free, and it's like, oh no, you got to at least pay the like $15 entry, brother, or 25, however much. But yeah, and it's working with creatives all the time. So it's such a cool environment. And it's similar, because you were mentioning your skateboard before. There's certain industries or certain hobbies and things where it is very similar. So with tattoo artists, with comedy and skating, if you have an artwork, a trick or a joke, you make it and it's yours. You can't steal. You can't copy someone else's. So when someone comes in with a picture from Pinterest, they'll all put their own spin on it. And it's all about, a lot of them talk about how you got to be in the right mindset for it. And because if you can have negative energy, it's going to be and it's going to be on someone's body forever. You're going to have negative impact on that tattoo. So you're going to make sure you're all good with the person. Okay. You've got good camaraderie, and then helping them out and good energy into it. Yeah,
I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning a lot from you about tattoo culture and the general nature in which it relates to other art forms.
It's pretty cool, yeah. And a lot of them are creative in other ways as well, doing their own thing. So it's pretty awesome. Like it's with like street, like a lot of them come from graffiti, street artwork background as well. Yeah, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that concept before about like, you got to support each other, and, getting a free tattoo is like them asking me to come to my comedy show for free. And it's like, someone might be sitting here thinking, well, don't they just nullify each other out? And then it sort of turns into like almost like a communist style of society. But one thing that I realized, especially through my skate lessons, was that, there's value in paying for something, and that paying for something is a form of showing gratitude for it. And you can give things that energy if you choose to.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when there's a busker on the street, we've all got a choice. There's always coins floating around in your pocket. Throw a few 50-cent coins in there, show this person a bit of gratitude for like putting themselves out there and making the street sound nice.
Yeah, or even just when you have an interaction with someone, or just saying thank you. Because so much of today is just quick, next thing, and then moving on. Yeah. Like I've had people say either at work or after a gig, and they're like, thanks for tonight, that really helped me, or thanks for today.
Really?
And then you kind of stop for a moment and go, oh, wow, that was.
People say that. Thank you for your comedy.
Yeah, I've had a few people they say thanks. That was great. Oh, I needed that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But what are they thanking you for? For making them laugh?
Yeah, think so. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just tell them dick jokes for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that dick joke. Right, around about 5 minutes in, that one could really relate to that. No, but like to me, it's astounding some of the things that people show gratitude for, you know, and some of the things that we didn't realize that, you know, could warrant gratitude.
Well, I've even had some friends as well just saying, like, thanks for that conversation. Like, they really needed that. Yeah, and I'm not saying, like, in the wanky way. I feel like Drake would do it, like, around the boys having a laugh. You're like, thanks, I needed this. Like, I feel like that's a bit, like...
Drake.
Yeah, fucking wanky.
Yeah.
But but I mean, like, even just when you have a good convo with a mate and it just lifts up your spirits and you maybe doing it a bit rough and you're like, thanks, man, I needed that.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I think when I went away with the guys a few weeks ago, it was just what the doctor ordered, you know? Like, it, you know, it's just hanging out with each other, you know, shooting the air rifle, you know, going on walks, picking up some yabbies. Yeah, you do thank each other at the end of a weekend like that because it's like simple stuff like that you really need. You know, it's a conversation with a buddy where you sort of hash it out, some deep thoughts or emotions that you're feeling where they help you vent or they give you good advice. And friendship is like free counseling.
Yeah.
Like free therapy.
And being introspective as well kind of makes you think that, like, because us guys, the biggest killer for us is suicide between like 18 and 45 years of age. Yeah. So even you can just stop, and it's not saying you have to let out all your emotions and all your shit, but just having that moment, it'll make you think that your mate, like, be there for him, and then try and do that, make the effort a bit more, and then even it'll make you check in on yourself as well, and then see how you're doing it. And you're like, I've had it gone like, yeah, that was a good interaction or good hanging out with the mates and the boys. So. Yep. Or even like after a gig, like, yeah, that was good for me to get up. So I've had other instances as well where maybe I was in a head funk and I didn't want to go and like, oh no, I don't want to do it today, don't feel like it. Yeah. And then I've gone and then I did really well. And I'm like, thank goodness I pulled myself out of bed and out of the house and went and did it. Yeah. And yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, so that's why you got to be grateful. Yeah. So it's hard sometimes, but yeah, sometimes I forget. That's something I try and pull myself up on. Yeah. I just had a thought. I'm like, I've got a comedian on my podcast and we're having a D&M. Yeah, I know. Oh, I'm like, fucking make me laugh. Sorry, man. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Yeah. Nah, I'm kidding. Don't, please. I'm taking the piss. But, you know, to me it says, having now had 2 official comedians on, I've had other funny people on the podcast, but I've had now 2 official comedians on the podcast, yourself and Sean Collier. Shout out to Sean again. Yeah, great dude. Great comedian. Yeah. And I'm doing a gig with him tonight, actually, in Croydon. Oh, really? So, yeah. Croydon. Whoa. Not on the same level as Frankston, but from what I hear. I grew up in that area, so it's not too bad. Yeah. Okay. Still a bit rough. Yeah. Saw Eshe get punched on the train by an old grandma one day in Croydon Station. They were trying to be all gangster and stuff. It was like 10 years ago. Wish I recorded it. Would have looked like fucking 8-bit Mario. But it was on the train with my iPhone 5. Yeah, I didn't record it. But they were trying to be all gangster and they were saying like, cash money. This old grandma, and she wasn't having any of it and just came with this wide right hook, smacked the Eshe leader in the nose. He started crying in front of all his mates and then got off at Croydon Station. What? Yeah, it was amazing. One of the greatest things I've ever seen. Yeah. Don't fuck with Babushka. Yeah. Don't fuck with Babushka. I love that. Yeah. That's what I'm going to name this episode, by the way. Nice. I'm naming that. Yeah. Croydon as well. I remember it was summer. It was like 40 degrees. Year 8, I think I was in. Me and my mates went to the pool. And we walked to this like local bench. And then we were thinking like, oh, fuck, what are we going to do now? And this old bloke came up to us with like a set of knives, and he was on an electric wheelchair. He's like, hey, do you kids want some knives? I get quite paranoid and I always think to like the worst case scenario. Same. Yeah. And I was like, no, thank you. And he's like, he looked, pardon the pun, but he looked quite cut about it. He's like, oh. All right. And then just put him in the bin that was next to the park bench and then just rode off into the sunset to never be seen again on his electric wheelchair. And I came home and I told my mum. And my mum got angry at me and she was like, we need new knives. Why the fuck didn't you take them? I'm like, because it's illegal, like, because there's Eshes and kids that run around with knives and people get stabbed and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be like that. And thank God he didn't find some Eshe kids because I would have just gone and like rolled some people. And like
Yeah. Actually, we were looking for some new knives.
yeah. And I was thinking, like I said to my mum, I was like, what if it was like a murder weapon and he was trying to frame this for like murder and like get our fingerprints on it and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
He's got a 12 set of knives in there.
Yeah.
All with blood on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were a smart kid, yeah.
Yeah. What like old man in their right mind just goes like, oh yeah, kids, do you want some knives to like some 14-year-olds? Like luckily we were good kids and had good heads on our shoulders. Like we weren't Eshes and gonna go like, and the chances of finding that in Croydon was pretty dire as well. So.
Yeah. What I was going to say as well was that, you know, with you comedians, and I've said this to Sean, I think comedians are among the best and you know, critical thinkers in society. They have to, because, you know, part of the art form of comedy is trying to turn everyday things into something that we all consider, you know, funny, or, you know, something even sad or tense, some tension, like you put it before, into something we all consider something funny, right? And that's part of the art of comedy. And in order to do that, you have to think differently. You have to think critically about things. You have to be able to go, that is a serious thing. In what possible way can I turn it into a joke? You know, and there are some things that you would struggle to do it with, but for the most part, you can turn a lot of things into something that you look at and laugh.
That's why some of the best, like you look at Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr,
Dave
Louis.
Chappelle.
Yeah,
How
and
good's
they
Dave Chappelle.
and the whole thing they do is they just look at it and go, all right, what's the other side? And then they just explain, and that's what Shane Gillis does. He just goes, all right, what's the other side?
Yeah. How else could you look at this?
Yeah.
But I'd say that, you know, having now had yourself and Sean on, that you both strike me as people that really think deeply and critically about things. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's fucking disappointing, actually, because when I wanted to have comedians on the show, all I wanted to do was laugh. But now here I am having D&Ms with you both.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I think we just like, because we get 10 minutes on stage, like 5 or 10, we're all just like,
well, I'm only funny for 10 minutes a week.
Yeah. Or 10 minutes a night.
10 minutes
the missus would be proud if I had that.
How good. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm keen to know a little bit more about what's the plan for the future. Obviously, you're grown into yourself through this comedy venture that you started. You know, you decided that comedy's your thing now. Making people laugh is your purpose in life, or smile, or, you know, bringing joy to people generally through laughter, or critical thinking is your purpose in life. You talked a little bit before about the aspiration to be a professional comedian, and I want to sort of unpack, like, have you got some steps in mind on how you're going to get there? Yeah,
definitely. I've had some chats to some guys that are a bit bigger. Like, I'm just going to keep grinding at the moment and work on my material and keep getting out there as much as I can. I've already done a couple hour-long shows, which were pretty good. I learnt heaps about it, and it's a whole different beast in itself. And it was heaps of fun. Some of them went really well, some of them not so well. But it's about stretching that muscle.
Bombing for an hour would be fucking brutal.
Yeah, it would be. I've bombed for 25 minutes before. That was fun. But the shows I've done really well. One of them I sold out. But I think for me, I want to be a professional, and like I want to be able to do this for the rest of my life, and I want to travel the world and see the world. Yeah. And just as long as I have enough to get by and do what I love. Like I'm not someone that's really materialistic, going like, I need a house, I need like an awesome car, I need to do this. I just want to be able to do this as my job. And because from seeing those people that have worked those dead-end jobs, being in an office and just not having much joy in life and being entrapped, that scares the absolute bejeebers out of me. And I don't want to be like that. So I want to be able to have freedom, say what I want, do what I want, live, have fun.
Yeah.
Just basically just be a wine mum. Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. A wine mum.
Yeah, wine mum. That's what I want. But traveling the world, making people laugh. But yeah, and I'm just grinding. And because with what I've seen from the guys that are doing it, and I don't know if it's a generational thing or with the social media age, and even just with like Hollywood influence, is with my shows. Like I know Sean said he was going out flyers for my ones. I didn't do it in the comedy festival. I just did it on my own bat, just my own advertising. One of them I sold 25 tickets and sold it out. But I just handed out flyers, put posters up all over Melbourne, and I learned a lot doing that. And it's just about pushing yourself. And a lot of the guys in the scene, they're like, oh, you have so much hustle. You're doing this show so early. You're doing this, getting out, trying different things. Like I've put up posters here in Hosier Lane before with just like a little different jokes on it. Just my face, just saying comedian, then it's got a QR code to my Instagram, just trying to build a following and stuff like that. And just a few other different techniques. And just putting myself out there, because that's the difference. Because other people, they don't, like, not having any shade, everyone's doing it at their own speed or whatever, but some people believe that it's going to be like a Hollywood movie, and they're going to see an agent's going to see him at a show and be like, oh, I'm going to make you a star, kid. We're going to see your name in lights. And it doesn't happen like that. And I want to be independent, a lot like the guys in America. And there's two ways that I see it, being a professional comedian in Australia. It's either you go on TV and you be on Channel 10 and do, like, have you been paying attention and maybe some other stuff on ABC, but then you're held to their rules and their quota, which keep changing all the time. And then as soon as you make a mistake, you're out.
Really?
Damn,
cutthroat.
Yeah, or you got to keep towing the line. And I know with those people, they don't sell many tickets. They don't do well. Some of them do, but they're not amazing. And there's other guys that are online that are completely independent. You can probably hear in the background now, I just noticed there's a bit of rain noise.
Yeah.
The rain's just picked up.
True.
So yeah, this is
It start raining.
This is the ASMR part of the segment.
The Lui Diaz ASMR podcast.
Where you can fall asleep to the sound of the raindrops in
Tongues flicking.
But yeah, there's other independent. Yeah, just if someone was about to fall asleep there, it's just woken them up again.
Hopefully no one's driving while you did that. That's
Yeah, they're fully independent and they've just grown on social media.
It is
so
belting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a nice drain next to us. I think I can hear the swamp.
Yeah.
They're fully independent and doing their thing. There's no rules. There's no nothing for them. They just do it their own way.
That's something to aspire to. Independence.
Yeah.
You were talking about these guys before. I can't remember. The ones with the giant Patreon.
Oh yeah, that's Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker. So Shane Gillis is probably one of the biggest new comedians that's popped up in the past year or so. He's just great. He's got a new show coming out on Netflix. He's got a Netflix special.
What? He just popped up out of nowhere.
So he was gigging. He did really well. He's been doing comedy for like 10 years or something in Philadelphia and New York. He got hired for Saturday Night Live in 2019 and then got fired within 3 days because people found clips of him doing like a Chinese accent and saying
that's
like
great. But as a comedian, that's a flex.
Yeah, and then he found they found that, and then he got fired and then just kept gigging, kept going through it. And one of the things I really admire about him is he didn't apologize. He just kept going, did his own thing, was like, all right. And then he kept going, made his own Netflix special. Made his own YouTube special, put it on there. It's got like over 10 million views, and that's one of the best specials for ages. A lot of the clips went viral. He has his own sketch show, which has no rules or anything, and it's all stuff. Yeah, and it's awesome. And that's another thing I'm really inspired by is the like punk rock and roll DIY scene, and that's why like I'd put up posters,
punk rock DIY.
Yeah, do it yourself. So and that's why you got to go out there because no one else is gonna do it for you. Put yourself or get you there. It's all me, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. No, of course. No.
I do slightly lie. I do have a guy who edits my videos, but that I put online. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
It's because I suck at it.
We all need help with something.
Yeah,
That's one thing I've realised. I'm like, ask for help. Learn how to ask for help. Okay? I know some people that ask for what I would consider too much help.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And I'm surprised at how much they get. I actually am. I'm surprised that people are like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll help you. No problem. You know, what does it say about me and what does it say about other people? It probably says that I underestimate the value of community and kindness, maybe. But what it says about other people is that, yeah, they are kind. There's a lot of good, kind people out there that are willing to help. And the thing about being an artist, being someone that wants to put themselves out there, you need all the help you can get. And so at some point, you're going to have to learn how to ask for it.
Yeah, true. That's true as well.
That's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably one of the things that I'm worst at in life is asking for help. I have some deep-seated, childhood traumas around asking for help. And so, I tend not to want to be a burden or a nuisance on people.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But...
Sorry, there's just someone frolicking in the rain. I was just watching.
Oh, no, I can see them in the camera.
Yeah, she was just taking a photo, so it was pleasant.
Damn, she's so well dressed and she's just standing like in the pouring rain.
Yeah.
What a character. You know what I love? When I see people that don't give a fuck about rain.
Yeah, it is pretty admirable.
When they're just like, it's raining, who cares? I'm still alive. I enjoy life, even when it's raining. There are some people when it rains, they're like running for cover. It's like, my hair's going to get curly, or, like my stuff's going to get wet.
Hi there.
Oh, she's come to say hi, quick. Yeah. She looks like a Disney princess in that dress.
Yeah, I know. Real life Minnie Mouse over here.
She looks amazing, man.
Yeah.
You know what? One of the best things I ever decided to do was this podcast in the alleyway. Yeah. Oh, we're taking photo. Absolutely. Yeah. You got to get down a little bit.
Down.
So you get in this camera. Yeah, that's it.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Oh, from China?
From
China.
Oh,
China.
from China?
Welcome to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Lui Diaz Podcast.
Hi.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Check
you.
it out on Instagram.
See you later.
See ya.
Bloody characters. How
Yeah.
good is that?
Yeah,
How
that's
good
why
is
you
it?
gotta love Melbourne.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
you got to love people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things about the start of our conversation, and you start talking about Frankston and the characters. Like, the first thing you point out is the other people in your society that make you feel like you're at home.
Yeah,
you know, or are the hallmarks of your community. And it was in that moment that I realised, hey, you and I are pretty similar in that regard. I love the characters. Where I live in Ascot Vale, there's this old man. I think his name is Franz, and he's very old, but I swear I've seen him for 10 years, and he doesn't look like he's aged in that time. And he always walks. And I stopped him one day, and I'm like, you're always walking, always walking. He's like, yep, rain, hail, or shine. And I'm like, talk to me about the walking. And he's like, well, I just feel like it'll help me live longer. Walking is my way of staying fit and staying out and staying active and getting out of the house. And so he's a staple. If I'm in Ascot Vale and I don't see Franz walking around, it's weird. I don't feel like, the society's complete. And, that's what I really love about your take on the downfalls of the pandemic, is the separation that we had from the very thing that makes our societies, is each other.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great we're out and about again. And you could tell there was a big difference as well. Like, even because I like going to concerts and things, and just it was a lot more intense. Like, a lot of people had a lot of stuff they wanted to get out and catch up, and that sense of community. And I think that's why, because comedy, it's picked up and it's massive and it's like the biggest it's ever been. And people like being around people that are familiar.
That's so good.
Like enjoying, and it's almost like a spiritual experience. It's euphoric. Like, where else can you get a group of people all laughing? Like, because I love being at concerts. I went and saw the Foo Fighters last year and having everyone sing Everlong, like the best of you.
How good are the Foo Fighters?
Yeah, they're awesome. And I was right up the front, and just having everyone sing the best of you. There's only a few places, besides at a church or maybe a mosque or somewhere spiritual, where you get humans together in harmony. Yeah.
I'm singing the best of you in my own head.
Yeah. Where you get
best of you.
Got some good pipes on you, man. We're big in Korea.
Yeah. God, yeah. Well, I love that take, and it's nice to hear you say that comedy's never been bigger. I've got a friend, Maddie, who's like, there's going to be another pandemic and they're going to lock us down again. And whatever people's feelings are or thoughts are on that, I'm just going to say people now know, because of what happened in 2020 and 2021, how much they need each other.
Yeah, definitely.
For your own mental health. And it's one of the things that, I've appreciated about my chat with you, is that you call out mental health as something that you've been aware of for a long time, as something that's important to you to manage and govern, something that you really understand is a complex issue in society, and that you, in your general way of being, are looking for ways to mitigate negative mental health and promote positive, vibes out in society.
Yeah, definitely.
What a great purpose in life,
Yeah,
to want to make people laugh.
Yeah, and a lot of, even some of the subjects and stuff, like some people get annoyed, or I've had people tell me after shows saying, that's taboo, or you can't talk about that, or it's wrong from your perspective.
Censorship.
And blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I sit there and I've experienced some of them in my own way. Whether
Hitler
it's
used
maybe
to censor people.
Yeah, I know.
Just saying.
Yeah, where
It's very Hitler-esque to try and censor someone.
and it's because I bring up some subjects that might be difficult for people to talk about, and maybe it's to do with like sexual assault or racism or sexism or other things like that, and violence, and I try and talk about it because it is a safe space, not in the sense there's still adversity in there because it depends if it'll laugh, and there's a lot of trust that has to be gained from the audience, but I'll say it in there where it's not from the news where someone's got, or a certain person has a certain agenda behind it, or a certain group of people, and it's very in a fearful manner, and it's not from social media where it's clickbaity and almost like chaos porn where it's all the negative energy that draws you in and you can't stop looking away, fear-mongering. And it's to bring it up so then it is in the forefront of our minds, because a lot of people turn a blind eye to that stuff and go, I don't want to look at it, it's the world's scary, it's horrific and blah blah blah. But it's a lighter way for people to digest and go, yeah, this shit does happen. It's real. The world, life sucks. The world is awful at times, but it can also be amazing and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I really love that. That's your take on it, because it's mine too. I think it is a beautiful place, and there are great people, and inherently, people really like each other. They want to get along.
Yeah,
you know? There's just a few fucking greedy, evil people out there that are ruining it for everyone, sure. But for the most part, in our communities, most of what happens is good. And I love to remind people of that all the time, because it's important. You know, we are wired to see the negative because, you know, as I've said before, you got to know when you're seeing a saber-toothed tiger and you need to run up a tree, you know, and that's how we're wired. But we're also capable of wiring ourselves to see the positive. Whereas that was a primitive survival mechanism, we're no longer primitive, or we can choose not to be primitive anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't understand for a while as well. So I can understand where people come from. But with the anxiety, all it is just your danger detection. Because that used to be, your anxiety would be when it sees the saber-toothed tiger going, holy shit, that thing wants to eat me. That's what's inbuilt to your brain. But since we, most of the time, luckily here in Melbourne and Australia, we live in a great country where we're very safe, we work, and we just kind of go through this mind-drudging process of working to live, and we don't have any real danger besides maybe driving, or that's probably about it. Day to day, where we don't have that, where we don't have to go out and source food. So all we do is just rock up to the office or the warehouse, the factory, and that's the danger. But it's not really. That's where you have to push yourself and put yourself in different circumstances that are different, so you can encounter that and break it. Because when people have phobias, the only way to break the phobia is dealing with it. When someone has arachnophobia, the only way you can get them to overcome it is by putting a spider on their hand and dealing with it directly. You can't run away. Yeah.
How do you deal with transphobia?
Transphobia?
Do you put a trans person on your hand?
No.
And let it crawl up your arm?
I do find it bit funny, because I have friends who...
You weren't ready for that, sorry.
No, I wasn't. That was one to just... You just saw a trans person and he went, nah! But, yeah, jeez.
Those little rubber spiders that you buy in the shop. Yeah.
Well, like, it's an interesting one, because like I'm all for respecting people, and you are whatever, and I take everyone as an individual.
Absolutely.
Because I can just straight away just go like, you don't read a book by a cover, but by the energy people harbour, certain language they use, you can tell going good person, bad person straight away, and you go like, do I have time? And that's where a lot of people don't understand. You've got to filter, going like, will I give this person time of day? Are they going to add to my life or not? Or are they going to subtract?
Yeah.
And that's where you have to try and work out and fix. Where I have friends that are trans, and like I've stood up for them and things like that with their thing and respect. And it's like they've gone one way and they go, I am this now. And I'm like, yep, 100% respect that and blah, 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 whatever. And there's other people where I've encountered where it's like their whole identity is that. And the victimhood complex where they go, I am this, you have to obey this, blah, blah, blah. You have to treat me a certain way. You can't talk
it's very authoritarian.
Things. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah.
So much authoritarianism in that style of existing in society. You can't tell someone what to think and how to treat you. You know, like you can't. I'm sorry.
I was actually talking about this with my mum and dad the other day, and we were talking about how, and it's what Dave Chappelle brings up, because it's with his annoyance with how long it took for the civil rights and for people to be cool with African American or black people.
Yeah.
And it took so long to get there, and it almost felt overnight just like, oh, everyone's cool with gay people now. And it's like...
Oh, and he's pissed.
Yeah, and that's what a few of his specials have been about, where I look at the culture that African American and black people have harbored. So, I'm a fan of hip-hop as well, like old school 80s and 90s stuff.
Yeah.
And their black excellence and their black power, it came from how creative they were, the creative bars they made, and the music and the beats they put together, and the way they dressed. And they're like, yeah, I'm so gangster, I've got this, like I wear these chains or I wear these brands, and you've got to respect me because I'm powerful in doing this, and my art is my power. And either with like maybe some of the singers like Beyonce and Rihanna and a few of things like that, they're like, yeah, I can sing so well and do all these things from that. And it didn't come from a place of like sexuality and being sexy and things like that. Maybe not at the start. Sometimes it did a bit later on. Or some of the athletes as well. They were like, you can't ignore me, you can't put me in a box, you can't treat me so different because I am the greatest player on the planet, like a Michael Jordan or LeBron James, or if it's NFL or baseball or whatever it is. And then these other people were just going, nah, you have to
respect me.
Yeah, and the music and the stuff they put out, it's over like sexualized and just straight in your face, not going, look at my art and how amazing it is, or look at my performance on the court.
Yeah,
or
judge me on my performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone else did it all throughout history.
Yeah, it's
you're right.
because those people earned the respect through their art form.
It wasn't granted.
Sport. Yeah. And these other people just go and give it to me now. I deserve it.
Yeah, respect is earned and not granted. And if you think it is granted, and if someone makes you believe that it's granted, they don't respect you.
Yeah.
They're talking shit behind your back. Even the government or even whoever is giving you these powers or rights or whatever, they're talking shit behind your back. They don't respect you. And you don't feel respect. What you feel is not respect if it's just been granted to you. That's the wonderful thing about life, is that, we have the ability to be so authentic with one another and really experience the full spectrum of sadness and joy and all of these things, and to be, driven by the desire to serve our communities and make people laugh. And when it works, it's genuine. You can't get that rush. You talked about the rush that you've felt before, like the rush of tsunami of laughter or whatever it was.
Yeah, when it hits you and it feels like a wave.
What if the person at the door told everyone that they needed to laugh at that joke and you knew that?
Yeah. And
would it be the same?
No, it wouldn't. I've been to big gigs as well and this is like, I didn't do a show in the comedy festival because they have similar views and things, and it's early on in my career. I don't want to stifle myself in case I say the wrong thing, and I still want my freedom to do what I want artistically, because I've seen other people who have seen backlash from it, and they definitely have a perspective or opinion they're pushing. My family last year, we went to watch the comedy gala at the Palais Theatre. I grew up watching it on Channel 10 every year, and would see the best comedians. There'd be Aj Barker, Jamoan, like all these awesome comedians and stuff. And what we didn't know from the magic of show business is what they do is they set a laugh track.
Oh.
So they get at the start, they go, all right, everyone, laugh like you would low level.
Yeah.
All right, laugh medium, and then now laugh really hard. And then a lot of the guys, they were sucking. And it's because they're pushing it because it's where the money is. And some of it is doing because it's a big flash in the pan. And a lot of these people I know when they tour, they don't sell tickets. They don't move tickets. A lot of the guys that do well are the guys that do it independently, their own accord, because it's that authenticity.
Yeah.
That you can't fake it. And if you're having to try and sit within these rules and these boundaries, it's like trying to tell Picasso he's meant to paint in a certain way. Or trying to tell Quentin Tarantino when he was making Reservoir Dogs, you got to make a movie in a certain way, or with these rules or these Hollywood guidelines, so you can't, or here's how to write it back. And that's why the movies that are doing so well at the moment, like you look at like Saltburn, I think. What are some other ones that have been doing well? I haven't watched anything.
I haven't watched a movie for ages.
I'm
rewatching The Last Dance.
So you'd see that where the basketball where you got to push yourself, and that's where Jordan was like, I'm going to be the best. You either move out of my way or let me go.
Transcended culture with his performance.
Yeah.
Like you can't demand that kind of respect. It's earned.
And it's by putting in the hard work, the hours. And a lot of people that don't see the hard work that you put in, and some people have friends that get annoyed because they go, oh, you do this comedy thing so much, you need to take a break, or why don't you hang out, or why don't you do this? I'm like, it's either I can be like you, man, no offense to you. You're going to have a girlfriend and then be home 5 days of the week, maybe go out for dinner at the pub once a week. That's not the life I want to live. I want to
put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been so good chatting with you and getting to know you. And honestly, I'm curious to know if you have an Instagram.
Yeah. I
So
do.
what's the handle?
So my name's spelt a bit funny. It's because my mum's a dyslexic hippie. So it's spelt Kaileb and then Hyland. So just all one word, Hyland. So
Yeah.
Kaileb Hyland.
Look up Kaileb Hyland, everyone. Give him a follow. Give him a shout out. And
Victor the Goat in
Victor
Frankston.
the Goat. Don't forget Victor the Goat. Hey, and don't forget to, if you listen to the podcast and you enjoy it, why don't you jump on Spotify or Apple and give it a rating. Nothing less than 5 stars, please. And leave us a review. That'd be amazing. I think, can people find you on TikTok or something as well?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. It's all the same handle, so just Kaileb Hyland.
Yep.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. YouTube?
I've got a podcast called the Cooked Units Podcast. It's been a bit dormant,
The
but
Cooked Units Podcast.
I'm
Oh
looking
my God.
to refresh.
So
come at that
Frankston.
again. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Host of the Cooked Units Podcast. Yeah. That's how I should have introduced you.
Yeah.
But Kaileb, man, it's been so good to having you and hearing your perspectives on different parts of life and, mental health and your own journey. It's been a thrill to get to know you, and thank you for reaching out to me and asking to be part of this.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Real respect to you for that.
I might just shout out one thing. So I've got the gig with Sean as well.
Yeah.
We've got a gig in Croydon. No one's going to hear it because we've just recorded tonight. It's in Croydon at the 10 Saints Bar. It's once a month. I run that one.
Yeah.
So if you're in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, it's on monthly, so you'll see it on my socials there. So free comedy, got some of the best guys from Melbourne performing.
Honestly, free comedy is I don't know why more people aren't taking it up.
Yeah, I don't know. That can be a conversation for another time since we're wrapping up here. But yeah, it's interesting. But it's cool. More and more people are, so it's good.
Brilliant. Kaileb, it's been so good. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. And we'll catch you all soon.
Thanks for having me.